Hi, I'm Elizabeth Davis, news reporter at The Voice newspaper. Welcome to the Voice's Editors Forum second meeting at the Business and Community Centre in Islington. Today we're discussing race relations and we're asking, is it better or is it worse? This is being recorded for The Voice Online.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can I just welcome you to the Voice Editors Forum. These are a set of debates, open discussions that we have among senior people within the community, important people within the community. And we discuss a number of topics. We get them out into the newspaper and we get the readers to also respond to what comes out of these discussions. Today's event is focusing on racism in 21st century Britain. Is it better or worse?
A smiley culture. I think if we looked at the reality of Kingsley Brown in Birmingham, if we look at Mark Duggan and his unlawful shooting death that led to the Tottenham uprisings that spread to other cities, I think if we look at the racist government backlash since that, or those events, which now is manifesting in what I can see as a real targeting of our youth.
Those councils that came out of, if you like, the long, hard battle that was fought by our forefathers and foremothers to bring an end to racism and alleviate the impoverished situation that British society put communities in, and have a helping hand on the ground by the creation of these race equality councils. Where are they now? Well, they don't exist. And why don't they exist? Well, simply because in the wisdom of this society, they decided that a body like the Commission for Racial Equality was no longer needed. The Race Relations Act still holds. They say they strengthened it, but to have a separate and distinct body that assists black communities to fight racism, to challenge inequality, they say is no longer needed.
Particularly around violence. I think there's an issue in terms of how witnesses are supported. So for instance, we look at the fact that so many young people witness violence in our communities, but there is no real infrastructure support to tackle that trauma that might exist. But when you reflect back to incidents such as Soham, where a whole village was able to receive counselling and support, the same is not afforded to the inner city and our communities. And I think that's something that we have to really start to address in terms of supporting, particularly our young people. When I say young people, they're really children that we're talking about, that witness some of the most horrific crimes, violent crimes.
Why is that? Well, I suppose I'm concerned with what's going on with the mental health, what's going on with self-esteem of young people, which perhaps have gone through the system, done well in the system, and now coming out the other end of the system with mental health issues, self-esteem issues, because they can't actually get their foot onto employment.
We did a piece of research in 2009 called Race to the Top, where we just monitored the progression of BME people in the workplace over from 2000 to 2009, and we found out that there was 1 in 10 ethnic minority people or black and Asian people in the workplace, but only 1 in 15 in the management position. And that had happened over 10 years of no monitoring, just the demographics changing. So the young population currently in primary school is 1 in 4. So that shows that the UK's future is increasingly diverse.
To throw it out to our panellists or to our audience, just to talk about some key areas and just to get some feedback from you so that we can see how we feel, if it is getting better or worse. And my first broad area is race relations, better or worse in the media.
I was following the social media the other day tweet, and somebody tweeted, and it was about Whitney Houston's funeral over the weekend, and somebody tweeted, but what's happened? I'm putting on Choice and I'm hearing nothing about Whitney Houston. Is this no longer owned by the black community? What's going on? Not one reflection on Choice or tribute to Whitney Houston. And that is why is that? Because we no longer own the medium which we created in the first place.
And therefore, it doesn't surprise me that Choice FM is sold off. It go to America. It doesn't. Jet Magazine, BET, every single thing we ever own, ultimately somebody takes it over. My sister says Trident was created by us, but Trident has been usurped. It's been taken over, and now it's been steered in another direction because we are constantly falling for this trap which says that black people, by demanding that we have our own and that we unite among ourselves and become a power in and of ourselves, that somehow represents reverse racism.
Events across the world where there's been censorship, that you can't hold it back. You can't hold back the news, and I think that's a real opportunity, not just for younger people, but for black community in general. If you follow any of the streams, it's very quick. You can very quickly pick up issues that happen in New York, or issues that are happening somewhere, such as Tanzania or maybe South Africa. So I think there is an opportunity to grasp it. And when you look at more and more businesses are starting to use things like Facebook, etc. So there are real opportunities there in terms of developing brands and getting them out there, not necessarily having the usual kind of barriers that be presented to entrepreneurs and business owners. So I think it's about actually grasping it today. It's a technology of today, because I think if we look at it as something that needs developing tomorrow, we'll be left behind.
Thank you. Thanks. Can I just say this has been a very enlightening debate. I'm really intrigued by Leo Mohammed's view of where we are, and also equally intrigued by the challenge laid out by Claudia, that we can't just sit down and let it go by. So I want to thank you very much for your time. I know, and I really deeply appreciate your time, because you could have been doing something else, but you took the time out to come and join us. This is something which we'll be doing regularly, and don't be surprised if we come back to you, the panel, again to join us in another debate, another topic, and so on, so that we can participate in.
We've had a very lovely debate today with people from all sides of the spectrum. We've discussed everything from equality to the importance of education. Hope you've enjoyed watching. I'm Elizabeth Davis, news reporter for The Voice.